Hi everybody, I wanted to take a few minutes and give you a little garden tour, give you a sense of what I'm growing and what's going well, what isn't going as well. This is the side yard garden, and then I have also some beds in the back. The reason I chose the side garden for the majority is it gets full sun all day long, which is really important to most vegetables. You can see over here my mulching project. We're going to be mulching the whole lawn here and then putting plants in a central flower bed. These are some wildflowers. I just popped them in a barrel and they're growing well. Sorry for the traffic, it's kind of loud. All these flowers I grew from seed, except for this one right here in the corner with little bells. We got that at Lowe's. So we have all sorts of different kinds of flowers, zinnias, marigolds, even a few sunflowers I put in. The spruce trees, obviously bought those. Those are morning glory vines. They don't have any flowers yet. I got them started a little bit late. Hopefully they'll flower at some point this year. And marigolds, zinnias. Now to the vegetables, these are peas, which are kind of basically dying at this point. They don't like hot weather, and they produce pretty nicely. And I'm growing those in grow bags with the trellis. This is actually the last bed I built. I put a trellis here. I'm going to put another one next to it. I have cucumbers. You can see a lot of them, they're starting to flower. And over there, that's a butternut squash. It's also a vine, which will grow up a trellis. Here I have 16 pepper plants, and most of the plants have peppers on them. They're not all full size yet. And when you grow peppers, it's a little bit different than the commercial ones. They don't get quite as big. I forget what all the different types are. Some of them turn red, some stay green. They're all sweet. I don't really like spicy peppers, hot peppers. And some carrots here, not really doing much. I don't know why they're not growing. They grow very slowly. These are, I believe, shallots, and then these are leeks. Get the shadow out of here. Over here, this is the first bed I built. I wouldn't put some of these plants in because they really should be in the back where there's more shade for part of the day. But these are English peas. You can see the peas here. Kale, some lettuce that's basically should be pulled at this point. This is red Russian kale. It's actually corn. I put this in very late. Should have been in about 3 weeks earlier. It's not going to be knee-high by the 4th of July, but hopefully it'll grow, and by maybe the 1st of October or end of September, hopefully we'll have some corn. Here's just some shallots, not growing that well. And this is what's called dinosaur kale. Over here in the second bed, we have more English peas. Those are the ones that you shell and that you eat the peas inside. This is something I've never grown before. It's celery. It's growing really well. Here's lettuce, more corn. That's a Brussels sprout. That's a little stunted. We have onions over here. Sunflowers I'm growing in pots. Over here I have strawberries. They take a couple years to get established. There were a few this first year, but next year there'll be more. I want to also put some more in the back. Asparagus. This takes 3 years to get established, so they're just coming up, and then they'll come up again next year, and then the third year you get your first harvest. Onions doing really well. You can see the onion there. Some more lettuce. These are 3 Brussels sprout plants. You can see the little Brussels sprouts. I don't know if you can see that. It's starting to form there. More lettuce, a beautiful lettuce here. This is Swiss chard. And this is garlic. And it's just about ready to be harvested. Over here I have all my tomatoes. Most of the plants have tomatoes on them now. None of them are ripe yet, but they're getting there. And we have all sorts of different types, cherry tomatoes, big tomatoes, heirlooms. These are beans growing up a trellis. Here you can see a beautiful tomato. Again, none of them are ripe yet. A few more tomato plants, another kind of pole bean growing up a trellis. We have more peppers. I planted probably more than I normally would. This is something that's one of the best things that's grown. These are shallots. And I just popped them in this pot, and they're almost basically ready to be harvested. A couple more tomato plants over there. These are all eggplants. And because of that, I planted them a little too early. I had to put them out, and we had some cold weather, and they were doing really poorly for a while, but now they're starting to come. Hopefully, I haven't seen any of the fruits yet. This is my herb garden. We have tarragon, dill, marjoram that's flowering, English thyme. That's the thyme, you can see. It's also flowering. Lots of basil. Basil's looking beautiful. Parsley, that's kind of, we can still use it, but then it kind of does this when it gets hot. Oh, these are chives. Cilantro, it's really hard to grow. It totally went to seed and flowered. This is rosemary, and these are scallions. Which everything in the whole garden I grew from seed, except for the rosemary and the tarragon and the Brussels sprouts, which actually kind of a funny story. I got them from this guy who sells seed packets 99 cents, and got a whole bunch, like 30 packets of seeds, but the one for the Brussels sprouts, it had the wrong seeds in it. They were radishes or something. So I had to, by that point it was too late to plant them, so I just went to Lowe's and got a 6-pack of them. And they're doing okay. We'll see. Hopefully they'll produce the Brussels sprouts. Walking over to the back here. This is my backyard garden. You can see it's about 1:30 and it starts to get shaded by the sun. So in the future, I'll put mostly lettuce and stuff back here because it doesn't like full sun all day. I have some carrots that are doing pretty well. I planted beets yesterday. I'm not crazy about beets, but I want to try them. Some lettuce, Swiss chard, growing really well. I haven't eaten that much of it, but I should. This was a kind of a failed experiment. I tried to grow asparagus back here, and it's kind of a long story. Some of it came up, some of it didn't, so I replanted it, and it takes a while to come up, so I hope it does. Over here I have what are called broad beans or fava beans. You can say they come in these little pods, and they have green beans in there that you eat. You can make them a lot of different. Here's a really big pod. Probably I'll have to start picking some of these. These are more leeks, onions, a couple of his Brussels sprout plant is really getting eaten up by the pests. So these two back here are not doing as well as the three out front. Some kale, more Swiss chard. I had broccoli plants in here. They went to seed. They look like, I don't know if you can see over there. That's what they look like. So I pulled them on. I just put carrots in. They'll grow all season. Here I have 13 grow bags of potatoes. And I learned online that that's a really effective way to make them. To grow them. So we'll see. The foliage looks good. So I have to figure out exactly when to harvest them. It's when, I guess, the plants start to die back. I have some more of those here. Some more pepper plant. Look at this pepper plant. Look at the peppers on there. Some more pepper plants. more kale, lettuce, a couple cucumber plants, a different variety. I want to plant these somewhere, find a place for those. These are sweet potatoes, and they create these vines all year long, all summer long, and then you dump out the pot at the end. Watermelon, not doing so great. It's slow growing. I think it'll hopefully pick up. Some more potatoes, sweet potatoes. Two different types of sweet potatoes. This is obviously a different type than that type. That is cantaloupe. Here's the other bed of asparagus. We'll see. I haven't seen any pop up yet. I planted it a couple of weeks ago, but it does take a while to come up. This is a zucchini. It's going crazy. Look inside, you can start to see. This is the start, I think, of a flower. And they get these big yellow flowers. These are they call these French fillet beans, or haricot vert, I guess they call them. The plants are tiny. I don't know if they're stunted or what the problem is. I never grew them before. More peppers, carrots again. I don't know why some of the carrots grow so tall and some of them are like stunted. I don't know. It's the same soil, same amount of sunlight. Some broccoli, that's it never really did much. And back here I have some more shallots. I put them in kind of late. They were in a pot forever, so I hope they do end up getting decent size. Looks like an animal was digging here. I planted some, or a bird, planted some carrots. We'll see how those work out. And one lonely tomato plant. And that is my garden. We are going to have a fence put up here, all the way along the fence line, and then all the way along there, and it'll come over there. So it's a work in progress, as I say. Eventually want to put a patio back here. There's Michael's pool with dirty water and it needs to be emptied. It rained like hell last night here, so we got a huge storm. So with that, I will sign off and talk to all of you soon.